Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, the 16th of September, and we have all survived Monday. Yes, some days it do be like that. We have just survived. Thank you, Wolfram, for doing all of the Modly Mod stuff. Welcome, Nanny Goat, and Alice G. I had a pretty good day. It some days you find something really interesting to go over, and I had no idea the shenanigans that were going on at the prosecutor's office in the Suzanne Morphew case. Uh, I am doing a sort of, like stranger in a strange world. I did not pay attention to this case, and starting with, the DA probably getting disbarred. We're going through that paperwork. And when let me just tell you guys, I've been covering trials for almost 2 years. Uh, when your complaint is 20 pages long, that is not a good thing. When the actual documentable, errors and egregious breaches in ethics are 20 pages long, that's a bad thing. That is a very bad thing. Observation station, I am looking forward to starting at the beginning, but I did think we would kind of get an idea of what the prosecution was doing first, since I sort of started with trials and I'm not an official true crimer. So I'm trying to figure out how to tackle this in a way that makes sense to me. Our first story is an update on a case that I brought you several weeks back, or maybe this was months back, but a judge finds a woman incompetent to stand trial in the fatal stabbing of a 3-year-old outside a supermarket. This was a tragic case. I just could not believe it. She was the woman person who was giggling and smiling at her, bail hearing. Um, Absolutely grotesque. I do remember, it was very clear from the body cam footage and the interrogation that she had severe mental health issues. Um, but that doesn't make it any easier to see a person smiling after you know they caused so much devastation and took the life of a 3-year-old boy. A woman who authorities say fatally stabbed a 3-year-old boy as he sat in a grocery cart outside an Ohio supermarket and wounded his mother has been found incompetent to stand trial. Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Judge John Russo issued the ruling Friday. He said that Bianca Ellis, 33, of Cleveland, will remain hospitalized indefinitely and could eventually stand trial if she improves. Good evening, Slinky. Again, this was just a tragic, tragic case. This beautiful little boy was just sitting there. His mom was doing groceries, just getting them all in. And the even more tragic thing is there is footage of Miss Ellis walking out of the, grocery store, just swinging this knife, and no one notices. They watch her follow this woman out into the parking lot. Now, again, I would like to think that I would notice and say something in the same situation, but it's likely that no one was paying attention, and it's just heartbreaking that this wasn't stopped. I mean, this is the face that I think a lot of us saw and were very angry with, and even with the foreknowledge that she has severe mental health issues and was not taking her medication, it was still really hard not to want to launch at my screen. Her bail was set at $5 million shortly after the attack occurred, and her trial has been tentatively scheduled to start December 9th. However, obviously, with her finding of incompetence, the trial will not be going on. Authorities have said Ellis was inside the Giant Eagle grocery store on June 3rd in the Cleveland suburb of North Olmsted when she saw Julian Wood and his mother, Margaret Wood, near the front and followed them into the parking lot. The mother was about to load her groceries into the vehicle when Ellis ran at them with a knife, stabbing the boy twice, an attack that took less than 5 seconds before Ellis walked away. The boy, unfortunately, died at the hospital while Margaret Wood was treated at the hospital for a stab wound to her shoulder, a wound prosecutors said she suffered after trying to pull the boy out of the cart during the attack. And this father, this incredibly brave father, and I am so glad that he had people next to him, but this incredibly brave man probably didn't even want to get out of bed. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. If I lost any one of my children, I think I'd curl up into a ball and just want the good Lord to take me. Now, I am still just aiming for purgatory, but I mean, I would just want to be in a ball crying for like days. I just wouldn't want to get out of my house. But this man, 7 days after his son passed away, got up and spoke and asked for this woman to not have bail. And that is the everyday bravery, heroism, and positive masculinity that I think we do not highlight enough, because I'm telling you what, you guys, I would be curled in a ball, and I don't know that you could even get me out of my house. So what an absolute act of courage, just absolutely. Now, authorities have not given a motivation for the attack, which they believe was a random incident. Ellis is being represented by the public defender's office, which generally does not comment on cases. Definitely just a sad case all around, a sad case that this woman was allowed to be so deep within her illness and able to go out and victimize other people. Well, we finally have pictures of the Titan submersible after the implosion happened or did happen. So someone has finally gone down to the bottom of the ocean and I guess found the wreckage. Haunting final photos of the Titan submersible after implosion revealed. The U.S. Coast Guard has revealed the first image of OceanGate's doomed Titan submersible, which shows the vessel's severed tail cone eerily resting on the ocean floor. The image was made public at a press conference Monday, depicting the aftermath of the experimental watercraft's implosion at around 12,500 feet below sea level on June 18, 2023, unfortunately taking the life of all 5 passengers aboard. This looks to be a hearing with all of the Coast Guard. The photo was taken during the search for the sub last year, with investigators also preparing an animated video recreating the Titan's descent onto the ocean floor. The video shows the back and forth messages sent between the Titan and Polar Prince support ship during the dive. The final message from that the Polar Prince received was "all good here" before the Titan went dark at around 10:47 a.m. Oh, awesome. And he knows a lot more about marine vessels than I do. I'd be telling you like I don't know. I think it happened within seconds. I think once the hull at that depth implodes, it's a very quick thing. I hope no one suffered. But take that with a ramen noodle packet, serving of sodium, because I am not an expertologist in any sort of marine anything. Though I do watch Shark Week every year, so I feel like I could, potentially help with a shark attack. Within 2 minutes after the final message, the Polar Prince had lost tracking of the submersible, according to investigators. Among the dead were OceanGate CEO and co-founder Stockton Rush, who was operating the Titan, as well as British adventurer Hamish Harding, French explorer Paul-Henri Nargeolet, and 2 members of a prominent Pakistani family, Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman. During Monday's hearing, the Coast Guard heard from Tony Nielsen, Ocean Gate's former engineering director, who described a slew of safety concerns in the company that were allegedly ignored by Rush. Investigators also revealed that the Titan suffered dozens of problems during previous trips, including 70 equipment issues in 2021 and 48 issues in 2022. OceanGate's former financial director, Bonnie Carl, and former contractor, Tim Catterson, were also scheduled to testify on Monday. Carl told the Coast Guard that she had never seen one of OceanGate's supposed mission specialists sign waivers with the company. She ultimately described the mission specialist as simply wealthy customers without any real qualification. Like Nielsen, Carl said that all major decisions within the company were left to Rush and that she too left OceanGate over safety concerns. Last month, Nargile's family filed a $50 million wrongful death lawsuit stemming from the implosion, alleging the crew experienced, quote, terror and mental anguish and accusing the operator, OceanGate, of gross negligence. Well, I'm pretty sure that the fact that they ignored repeated and documented warnings that I believe that the fiberglass was showing signs of fatigue. I mean, the amount of unimaginable pressure on every square inch of that sub, goes up by orders of magnitude every time you go deeper into the ocean. You cannot go out there with, a little scuba, a little submarine made from Bondo. Listen, I once was a young teen driver and most of my car was Bondo, but that doesn't mean I would trust my safety to it in, the ocean. I mean, that's just what I'm saying, but I'm not a marine doctorologist. Okay, what are we having a hard time focusing here? I don't know. Blurry me is fine as well, or that's my eyes, because to be honest, the Lyrica screws with my eyes at all times. Well, I have an update. Apparently, Jane's addiction is no more. She's joined an AA program. Jane's Addiction cancels reunion tour after an onstage band fight. Guitarist Dave Navarro says he hopes that frontman Perry Farrell will find the help he needs. Ooh, well, in that catty. The remainder of the reunion tour by the original lineup of Jane's Addiction, the group's first in 14 years, has been canceled. While a general statement issued under the band's name collectively did not lay blame, guitarist Dave Navarro laid it squarely at the singer Perry Farrell's feet in a separate statement issued on his own social accounts and co-signed by the two other band members, saying that Farrell is experiencing mental health issues and saying they hope he finds the help he needs. It's a development that came to seem inevitable after the world witnessed footage of an on-stage melee that saw Farrell taking a punch at guitarist Navarro, followed by the bassist Eric Avery going after Farrell as he and two crew members struggled to get the singer off stage. Now, a brief statement posted under the band's name on social media Monday morning read, quote, "To all the fans, the band have made the difficult decision to take some time away as a group. As such, they will be canceling the remainder of the tour." The announcement goes on to say that refunds for canceled dates will be issued at your point of purchase, or if you purchased from a third-party resale site like StubHub, Geek or SeatGeek, or etc., please reach out to them to figure out everything. Welcome, Roland Arthur. But Navarro posted a more detailed statement on behalf of himself and two other members of the group, writing, quote, "Due to a continuing pattern of behavior and mental health difficulties of our singer, Perry Farrell, we have come to the conclusion that we have no choice but to discontinue the current U.S. tour. Our concern for his personal health and safety, as well as our own, has left us no alternative. We hope he finds the help he needs." Well, at least they didn't put a middle finger emoji at the end. Navarro continued, "We deeply regret that we will not be able to come through for all our fans who have already bought tickets. We can see no solution that would either ensure a safe environment on stage or reliably allow us to deliver a great performance on a nightly basis. Our hearts are broken. The statement is signed Dave, Eric, and Steven. So there you go. Altogether, 15 dates are being canceled less than a month after Live Nation announced that 7 dates were being added to the end of the tour, which also featured Love and Rockets as a co headliner. The canceled shows were in Bridgeport, Toronto, Rochester Hills, Milwaukee, Chicago, Indianapolis, Huntsville, St. Louis, Denver, Sandy, Seattle, Portland, Reno, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. The final show was to have taken place on October 16th at LA's YouTube Theater, where the tour already touched down for one day earlier this summer. The band played 17 shows before calling it quits, including the faithful aborted gig Friday at the Boston Leader Bank Pavilion. Previously, the band had only canceled its show Sunday in Connecticut in the wake of their onstage physical altercation, but reporters had emerged that the band members had already flown their separate ways over the weekend, and Navarro had gone on his Instagram account to post a photo of himself holding a guitar with Jane's Addiction logo that bore the simple caption, "Good night." Navarro was not the only one citing alleged mental health issues being at play on Farrell's part. The singer's wife, Etta Lou Farrell, had issued an Instagram statement saying that was generally defensive of her husband in the stage melee, but later Saturday she added in a comment that Farrell was spinning out and that his current state represented the most devastating mental health of all, and she has been with him since 1997. So I'll take her word for it that he's fighting demons we don't know about. The confrontation between Farrell, Navarro, Avery, and crew members near the planned climax of the concert at Boston's Leader Bank Pavilion was caught on video by dozens of audience members and widely shared on social media, shocking even some veteran observers who've witnessed their fair share of intra-band tension over the years. The group's first official response after the fracas had been to issue an apology on Saturday and announce the cancellation of the next show, which was to take place Sunday night in Connecticut, with no mention at the time of whether the rest of the 14 dates left on the itinerary would proceed or not. But Navarro seemed to indicate which way things were going to go when he took to his own Instagram account on Sunday afternoon and simply posted the word goodbye. So, it's sad that the front runner seems to be dealing with a lot of demons right now. But your personal demons don't mean you get to become a personal asshole. Okay. Look, we all have things we're fighting that maybe we don't share with the world. And maybe they cause us to be, maybe just a scotch snippy is about the only limit I will give myself. Uh, when I'm having a really bad day because I don't know what the hell everyone else is dealing with. And I never want to shovel more crap on someone who's dealing with a crap day because I'm having a crap day. I know these are weird ideas, trying to teach them to my children, make better people. But the moment you turn into an aggressive a-hole and start trying to lay hands on other people, you are no longer the victim. So, sir, I hope you get your help, and I hope you have some humble pie to eat at the end of this. In y'all, I have some questions, and would the BBC please come up and answer some questions? Because, oh my gosh, between what is it, Gary Sparkles and all of the stuff that they um, have hidden over the years of a lot of BBC personalities maybe having some child grossness issues. I need someone in England to explain this. Ex-BBC anchor Hugh Edwards avoids jail time over quote unquote repugnant child images. Well, isn't he lucky he gets to go and not be put in prison like, someone who yelled at a police dog got, I believe, 3 years in prison after the riots per Kiarostami. Good evening, Dan Davis. So here we go. But a former BBC, personality who decided to have grossness of children pictures that everyone knew about. This was an open secret. This was not something that you didn't know about in the BBC. He's going to get a slap on the wrist. Former BBC anchor Hugh Edwards, once one of the most trusted and recognizable faces on British television, on Monday avoided jail over indecent photographs of children, capping a stunning fall from grace. Yup. The 63-year-old presenter was instead handed a 6-month sentence, suspended for 2 years, meaning he will not serve any time in prison if he doesn't re-offend. Edwards guided Britons through some of the country's most seismic events over the past 2 decades, including the death of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022. His calm delivery mixed with public broadcasters' reputation for journalistic impartiality. No one watches the BBC and thinks they are impartial. Just throwing that one out there. Made him a reassuring presence for millions. But his reputation and career now lie in tatters after he pled guilty in July to 3 charges of making indecent images of children between December 2020 and August 2021. Uh, Sentencing Edwards, Chief Magistrate Paul Goldspring said that if jailed, he would have been at risk of quote unquote considerable harm from others and of self deletion, adding that he had shown remorse. Well, I'm sure the child victims will be just fine. He said he's sorry. Did he have a kitten with him, just like this South Park meme? I'm sorry. Well, I'm glad he showed remorse. Maybe he showed remorse because he was caught, not because he gave a crap about those children. Oh, for the love of Cheetos. Edward stood in the dock at Westminster Magistrates Court in central London with his hands clasped as if in prayer. The former anchor admitted to receiving 41 indecent images of children over WhatsApp sent by a 25-year-old convicted PDF file, if you catch my drift, including 7 of the most serious type. Most children were aged 13 to 15, and one was between 7 and 9. No, I'll fix this. England, I got you covered. No words. Edwards had faced a maximum prison sentence of 10 years and a minimum of 12 months. Well, I'm so glad they gave him 6 months suspended. I'm sure he'll learn his lesson. He was first arrested in November last year and charged in June, but the case was only publicly revealed in late July, just days before his court appearance. The BBC covering for one of its anchors? I can't imagine. I love Thor. Okay, so while I just don't want to talk about this story for a second because it's gross, I will tell you guys that Thorbert cannot be trusted with catnip. Now, Thor is my cat that sometimes gets a little like too stoned to function when he's on the catnip. But his favorite thing to do is to I buy baggies of beans, mostly because they're cheap. And, in case of any sort of thing, I have beans that I can, throw in. They're a pretty good nutrition source if anything kind of goes down. So I just buy bags of beans, every so often. What Mr. Thor likes to do when he is on the, well, devil's lettuce for kittens is that he likes to take said bags of beans, open them, roll in them, and go, oh, oh. Y'all, I am not lying. I will videotape him the next time he gets into into catnip. But this time he put the bag of beans under my bed. So I now have a bunch of great northern white beans, dried beans, under my bed that I need to pick up. All right, we're skipping this story. We're going ahead. Just know that apparently the BBC anchoring gets you a get out of jail free card for, child grossness. This will be the only story I do about the Emmys, but apparently Meryl Streep was upset about a certain joke. This Emmys 2024 joke left Meryl Streep in shock and divided viewers. Seeing as how I, like every other American, didn't watch the Emmys, I don't know what the joke was. Meryl Streep turned heads at the 2024 Emmys, but not for the usual reason. The award winning star, 75, did not take home her typical pile of trophies on Sunday night for her Hulu show, Only Murderers in the Building. But she drew attention when she reacted to an off color joke. Well, true. I mean, she's an adult pretender. I don't know why we are going to her for genuine human reactions. And it's not like she's new to this game, so she knows that there are cameras constantly on her. So I'm guessing Roland Arthur, I am right there with you. Protect Tommy, because y'all need a lion over there, and he seems to be the one that's there. She drew attention. Oh, okay. When they were presenting the award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series, for which Streep was nominated, Real Life Spouses and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia co stars Rob McElhenney and Caitlin Olsen made a joke at Streep's expense. Quote, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to honor the comedic performance that hold everything in place. They show crucial support when it's really needed," McElhenney said as he announced the nominees in the category. Olsen jumped in to say, "What you're describing sounds very much like a jockstrap." Really? That's what pissed Meryl Streep off? No, it doesn't. The other guy said, the MythQuest actor or creator and star continued, "These roles make sure that everything stays secure. Without this support, the whole package falls apart." All right, does that sound like a jockstrap? His wife then said, "Are you calling Meryl Streep a jockstrap?" The camera then cut to Streep in the audience as he said, "No, I'm so sorry, Meryl." Meryl Streep mouthed, "Oh God," pretending to be upset. Well, I'm glad that this is, you know, current news. Also, that's not that funny and not that off color. I mean, seriously, let me host the Emmys. Then we'll talk about an NC-17 rating because I got some things to say to Hollywood. I mean, I would love to fawn over all the stars. See, that's what I'd say on my, resume. And then when I get in there, I make Ricky Gervais blush. The Bear star Lisa Colon-Zayas took home the award, making Emmys history as the first Latina to win the category. Fans on social media were divided about the joke. "I don't know who wrote the Emmy Awards tonight, but the dialogue is so cringe, they just compared Meryl Streep to a jockstrap." Well, I mean, at least they didn't compare her to Spanx. I thought that was where this whole thing was going, or a girdle. I figured, or a bra. I mean, you leave yourself open to so many interpretations. Or duct tape, to be honest. Or spackle, really. Uh, Another viewer commented, "Meryl Streep reacting to being called a jockstrap was amazing." Now, I'm sure all 11 viewers who watched the Emmys last night were shocked and appalled. But I don't care too much because they're all people from Hollywood who sit there and think I'm a dumb moron and I need to be taught something by people who didn't finish high school. Anywho, I probably won't be getting that call from the Emmys to host next year. Kansas cold case ends 44 years later as a man is sentenced for unaliving his former neighbor in 1980. I do like doing these stories where we finally catch the guy. Um, you know, it it does bring up a quote that I always kinda like to use when people are ticking me off and it doesn't seem like they're gonna get their comeuppance. "God's mill grinds slowly but relentlessly." Now, these are probably not a good thing to have, keep in mind. I should be all about mercy, but I like to keep that mill grinding slowly but relentlessly in mind sometimes. More than 44 years after a nursing student was slain in her trailer home in central Kansas, her former neighbor has been sentenced to 10 to 25 years in prison for killing her. The investigation into the January 24th, 1980 shooting of Mary Robin Walter, 23 years old, of Great Bend, had gone cold until 2022 when a detective persuaded Barton County Sheriff Brian Beldener to reopen the case and use technology and techniques that weren't available at the time. The new evidence pointed to Stephen L. Hanks, who was just 25 at the time, and had been a suspect early on. The Kansas Attorney General's office said in a statement Friday that it was Hank's admission in a new interview that allowed authorities to charge him in 2022 when he was living in Burton, Kansas. Hanks, now 70, got his sentence for second-degree murder Thursday. His plea agreement in August called for not less than 5 years and not more than 25 years, but Barton County District Court Judge Stephen Johnson on Thursday departed upward from the plea agreement and sentenced Hanks to not less than 10 years and not more than 25 years. The sheriff said they believe it is the oldest cold case in Kansas to be solved and result in a conviction. Quote, "It bothers me that many people who were so affected by this tragic crime have since passed away prior to bringing the suspect to justice." The sheriff said in a statement Friday, "I consider myself fortunate that I had the resources and the diligent personnel to close this case. The credit for solving this homicide goes to the dedicated officers that had the tenacity to bring it to conviction." Walter's Walter was a wife, mother, and nursing student when she was shot multiple times. Police found a .22 caliber handgun at the scene and confirmed it was the murder weapon. According to the sheriff, nobody had actively investigated the case since 1982 until they reopened it, the Wichita Eagle reported. Sergeant Detective Adam Hales and Lieutenant David Patton re-interviewed Hanks, a neighbor of Walters at the time, and a previous suspect. In his interviews, Hanks admitted to unaliving Walter, the Attorney General's office said. The prosecutor, Associate Deputy Attorney General Jessica Dome, thanked them for their diligence. Robin's killer was finally brought to justice because of their dedication and commitment to this cold case. Hank spent time in prison for another crime. He was arrested in 1981, charged with rape, battery, robbery, and burglary. He was sentenced in 1983 and discharged in 1993, according to the Kansas Department of Corrections. The statement from the sheriff and the attorney general's office and online court records don't say whether Hank ever revealed his motive for unaliving Walter. The sheriff's office said that it was not available to comment Saturday. Officials with the Attorney General's office and Hank's attorney did not immediately respond for requests for comment. I look, I do not know. um, my youngest, most feral, might do something like this if he found out there was shrimp in a truck, but I have no idea. Where's my truck? A half a million frozen shrimp worth over $300,000 was headed to Costco before an unusual theft, police say. They're still in all the scrimps, as my son would say. A thief came up with quite the catch in a brazen theft in New Jersey. According to Middlesex Police Department, a truck driver reported his shipment of some 500,000 frozen shrimp worth about 305 $300,000 was stolen around 4 a.m. on September the 5th. The shipment was reportedly headed to Costco store in Monroe Township. That's the new Samuel Jackson L. Jackson series. It'll be on Netflix. 48 episodes. The driver told police he had rented a parking space on Smalley Avenue, but when he went to make the delivery, the 25,000-pound shipment and the $50,000 tractor trailer were nowhere to be found. Philadelphia NBC affiliate WCAU interviewed the truck driver who declined to be identified. Quote, "When I came into the yard, I don't see my truck," he said. "I don't understand what happened. Where's my truck?" Detectives also determined that 4 other shipping containers at the warehouse had been broken into, but nothing was taken. Comps eventually found the shrimp shipment about 16 miles away in Perth Amboy. Seafood Source Trade publication reported. It's not clear if the theft was targeted to steal the shrimp or something else. Someone was like, "We is gonna have all the gumbo." Oh, I'm sorry. It was worth so I well, no, it's 500,000 frozen shrimp. So they counted the individual shrimp, which I don't know why, instead of saying they had so and so pounds, but I mean, okay. I guess they were the big shrimp, so they could count all of them. I have no idea what the heck. It is definitely unusual, Middlesex Police Detective Sergeant Sean Flanagan told WCAU. "We haven't had something like this in Middlesex Borough before. While the incident may be humorous to some, it was no laughing matter to the truck driver who depends on the shipments to make a living." I mean, honestly, okay, I do love Pepe King Prawn. I will tell you guys that it is not Christmas unless I see, the Muppets Christmas Carol. Best Christmas Carol ever was the Muppets Christmas Carol. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And honestly, most truck drivers are, if you have a nice truck like that, you're independent and that's your livelihood. So, what an absolute dingleberry bottom dweller who stole this man's livelihood. It's only me and my truck. I don't have a job for a week. He said, "I've tried to make applications. I just need to keep waiting." Cops have yet to make an arrest. Anyone with information is asked to call Middlesex Police at 732-356-1900. Oddly enough, there's been an uptick in seafood related thefts this year, including thefts of crab meat on September 4th and tuna on August 8th in Philadelphia. Okay, the cats are obviously taking over. That's just how this happens. I do hope so. For him, I really do. Quote, "In the first quarter of 2024, criminal activities impacting the logistics and transportation industry have reached new heights. Even amid the sustained crime wave that began in the late 2020 or in late 2022, CargoNet documented a staggering 925 incidents, marking a substantial 46% increase compared to the first quarter of 2023 and a concerning 10% rise from the fourth quarter of 2023. So, good night, nurse." I never thought I'd be detailing, stolen shrimp, but what are you gonna do? This is the timeline we are in. 2 ex-FDNY chiefs are arrested by feds for taking nearly $200,000 in bribes to speed up inspections. I mean, it's not like New York is full of densely packed, wooden buildings and, well, oh, that's upsetting. I hope they find it and it's not stripped down to nuts and bolts because that's just irritating. I really don't like it. Again, If there are so many people willing to help you, but stealing someone else's hard work is just unforgivable sometimes. Two retired, FDNY fire chiefs were slapped with a federal indictment Monday for allegedly accepting $190,000 in bribes, the latest high profile corruption case to hit Mayor Eric Adams' increasingly beleaguered administration. Anthony Sicvino and Brian Cordazio, once two top highest ranking members in the FDNY's Bureau of Fire Prevention, formed a crooked quote unquote secret partnership with a retired firefighter to fast track inspections in exchange for bribes, according to the indictment filed in Manhattan federal court. The retired smoke eater turned businessman Henry Santiago Jr. personally delivered bribe payments by cash and checks to the pair during steakhouse dinners in Manhattan and brazenly at the Fire Prevention Bureau's Brooklyn office. You know, did we not learn from Juicy Smollett? We are not taking checks for bribes. In the little memo, it says bribe. I mean, why wouldn't you just, take cash or gold bullion? But a check, I guess. That's what you're going to need to do. The nearly 2-year scheme involved roughly 30 projects across the Big Apple, including fire alarm checks at apartment buildings, restaurants, bars, and hotels, court filings state. Quote, they allegedly created a VIP lane for faster service that could only be accessed with bribes, said Damian Williams, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. The 43-page indictment provides new details about a long-running corruption case that burst into view February when the two former chiefs had their homes raided by the FBI and city investigators. The FDNY Brooklyn headquarters was also searched at the same time. Sacvino had schemed with Santiago, a close friend, as early as 2020, 2 years before Adams took office, about partnering in a fire safety business serving commercial and residential building owners in the city, according to the indictment. By 2021, Santiago had converted his pre-existing hospitality and nightlife business into a fire safety company with Sacvino and Cordazio as secret partners, court paper states. Around this time, both Sacvino and Cordazio were promoted by then FDNY Commissioner Laura Kavanaugh, a move that unfolded as she demoted 3 other chiefs and sparked a mutiny among top ranks. You're telling me New York politics are corrupt? Do tell, I am shocketh. Santiago promised clients, including high-end Manhattan restaurant and 2 hotels near JFK Airport, that he could help expedite fire inspections, according to the indictment. He never told them he was secretly working with 2 FDNY fire chiefs who would direct underlings to speed up reviews and inspections, the Fed alleged. Clients would pay Santiago, who would in turn make bribes to, the chiefs to mete out preferential treatment, the indictment contends. Now, both Sacvino and Cordazio have been charged with conspiracy to solicit and receive a bribe, solicitation and receipt of a bribe, honest services wire fraud, conspiracy to commit honest service wire fraud, and making false statements. They're expected to be arraigned Monday afternoon. Adams, who recently saw many of his top aides and allies raided by the feds, tried to distance himself from the fire inspection probe when asked about it during an unrelated news conference. Quote, it started under a previous administration. Our administration became aware of it. They took the proper steps and reported the actions, he said Monday. The Department of Investigation conducted their actions when they became aware of it. That's the way the system's supposed to work. No, I just decided to get some candles out because while I despise pumpkin spice season, I am praying to the gods that fall temperatures will start soon. Let's see, Fire Commissioner Robert Tucker, who started his role after the pair retired, said the department will fully cooperate with any ongoing investigations. Every member of the FDNY takes a sworn oath to conduct themselves honestly and ethically, he said in a statement. Anything less will not be tolerated. Thank you, Alice G. I like it a lot. It's fun and it's something different, and it was also nice to do some self-care. I have actually, on that note, and it really shouldn't be a big, like, yay me thing, but I have also now signed myself up to get my nails done. So I will be, taking a little bit, of time to try to do more things to myself. Or for not to myself, for myself. I mean, I already nearly assault myself every time I try to shave my legs. You think after 40 years I would remember I have a shin bone, but no. No, I don't. And my shins bear the scars to prove it. Let's see here. Sacvino's attorney Joseph M. Calderea called the accusations, quote, surprising and distressing. He says his client was a 9/11 first responder and American hero. He deserves the presumption of innocence until proven guilty, just like any citizen, his lawyer said in a statement. We urge the media and public to refrain from jumping to conclusions. You know what? If ever a defense attorney, now you guys have me paranoid that my house is on fire. um, Oh my god, there's this nail salon that serves booze, but I'm such a lightweight that I'd need someone to drive me. Let's see here. Yeah, here I swear, one of these days on this timeline before we get to New Year's Eve, I want one defense attorney to have a jump to conclusions mat and make a show of kangaroo hopping onto it. Now, I know this sounds ridiculous for me to pray for this and need this in my life, but honest to goodness, after this timeline that we have all lived through, I think we all deserve a defense attorney jumping to conclusion mats, in real life now. Now, both fire chiefs respectively retired in March and June of this year and are set to receive annual pensions of $261,789 and 100 or 1,025 or $125,573, according to I Might Do It. Because just what in the world is going on here? Uh, and this is why you really need to pay attention to geography and our final story of the evening. A vessel was rescued in the English Channel after an emergency called to Dover, Delaware instead of Dover, England. Again, be aware of possibly geography when you're on a ship, because there are many Dovers, apparently. Police dispatchers in Delaware's capital city are being lauded for helping direct rescuers to a boat floundering in the English Channel, thousands of miles away. Dispatchers for the city of Dover found themselves in the center of an international rescue effort or last month, after receiving a call from an Albanian man who thought he was calling emergency personnel in Dover, England. The mix-up happened August 27th when the man learned that his brother's boat was sinking in the English Channel, according to Delaware authorities. Quote, the caller had conducted an internet search for the Dover Police Department, and the first search result on the screen proved to be the Dover Delaware Police Department. Police officials said in a news release Thursday the family member thought they were calling Dover, England, but connected to our agency here in the United States. Recognizing that trying to refer the frantic caller to authorities in England could cost valuable time, communications operation or operator Mackenzie Atkinson helped the man on the line and began collecting critical information. The caller provided coordinates of the vessel, and Atkinson, who had recently acquired certification from International Academies of Emergency Dispatch, followed protocols for a vessel in distress, officials said. Meanwhile, communications officer Connor Logan began making international notifications. Within 4 minutes, he established contact with several agencies, including the U.S. Coast Guard, the French Coast Guard, His Majesty's Coast Guard in England, and the United Kingdom's Maritime and Coast Guard Agencies Coordination Center, and police stations in Dover, England. Dover police said that 15 minutes and 48 seconds after the initial call, the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency confirmed that rescuers were on their way to the vessel. Dover police said they received confirmation on September 5th that the vessel and everyone aboard were safely returned to the port of Dover, England. Dover officials have nominated Atkinson, Logan, and two other communication officers on duty during the emergency for a Distinguished Unit Commendation. So there we go. Well, Haley Mouse, I'm you are well done, and you're up later than I generally ever want to be. And I just we will. Definitely. So what a cool thing. I would have no idea how to contact, another country and let their emergency, network know. So the fact that they just had this training and just completed it and could remember all of those things fresh in their mind, these are what I like to call God moments, and you can call them universe cares moments. I am not here to make you believe in anything other than, just becoming a sub and having fun. Other than that, look, I ain't gonna tell you nothing about nothing. But I definitely see this as, the universe or everything lining up to make sure that, there was a good outcome. And the sad thing is that we can't have these everyday, sort of miracles all the time. And there's going to be cases when everything doesn't line up. And that's probably the most heartbreaking thing about some of the stories I cover. I mean, if you go back to the woman who it is has been found incompetent. I mean, why couldn't all the stars align so that little 3-year-old boy could still be here with us? And I wish I had really good, really awesome, feel good, heartfelt answers for that. And I don't. Sometimes we just have to keep shining on and keep our candle of kindness going, even in the darkest times, even when things don't line up and the most horrible things happen. We just have to work on maintaining hope that there are good things that happen, that sometimes the stars align, that's a God moment. And, celebrate those moments. But, I wish they could happen all the time and there was no pain and suffering. That is probably the hardest, thing about being a parent, is having to explain to your kids that, unfortunately, there are going to be jerks. There are gonna be butt monkeys out there, and life isn't going to be fair, but it's how you deal with it that matters. So, any hoozle, I hope you guys enjoyed this nightly Newsy News. And remember, try to be kind, try to hold a candle when someone else is going through darkness. And it could be something as simple as just giving a compliment. You never know what little small things you do really affect people around you. And it is just amazing to think that something as simple as a compliment or smiling at someone or helping someone. Look, y'all, I am 5'6". I am not much taller than, you know, my My oldest daughter is taller than me, but something as, nice as just helping someone get something off a top shelf in Walmart can really be something that gets someone else through their day. So, keep that in mind. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and you know what? Let's deal with this absurd timeline together. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm still telling you, if they ever come up with an entire jar of just the middle Oreo frosting, or cream or whatever they make, that would be my kryptonite. I mean, me and Jenny Craig would just have to become friends after that one. Bye, you guys. I will see you in the morning, and we will continue to tackle this timeline one day at a time. Keep the absurd going, the humor going, but still get you guys the good news, or well, not the good news, the news that's going on, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, or making fun of Meryl Streep. Bye, guys.